You ever eat cream cheese just like straight up? I don't want to talk about cream cheese right now, okay? Cream cheese is one of like the 10 foods that I ate in the 2 days before I got food poisoning. So cream cheese right now is on the shit list. Look, I can't say that it was the cream cheese that did it to me. I'm just saying if this was Clue, it's like Professor Plum right now. It's like donuts, which is a little non-specific, I guess. Cream cheese, bagels, the ingredients involved in a pork quesadilla. Although I gotta say, yesterday when people told me, or when I was talking about how I could have possibly contaminated myself while cooking, and then I said, does everybody else sample the food that they're cooking off the same spatula that they used to stir it from the time that it was raw? And I said, everybody does this, and like 900 people in chat said, what the hell? Absolutely, I do not do that. And then I was like, you know what? I bet that's probably a pretty reasonable disease vector, now that I think about it. I mean, in my head, I'm being real with you. Maybe you're like me and you won't learn your lesson until you actually face the consequences. But if it's one entire lifetime of never getting the food poisoning that I just had is worth washing 2 spatulas every time you cook. The second spatula, it adds what? 40 seconds onto the cooking time. You could add a fork instead. That's totally fine. Whatever I don't like to use the fork on the cast iron for obvious reasons. Just use your hands. I'm not reaching into the steaming hot 700 degrees Celsius cast iron. Take it out a scoop of like boiling hot paella or something like that. There's madness. Why not? Because I'll use a spoon instead. I'll just use a spoon. And then you just wash the spoon. It takes 2 seconds. I'm now getting into the 30-year-old takes, okay? Like 28-year-old take is do the dishes, but just, hey, here's a little tip for you. Just use a spoon to sample the food and then use that same spoon to eat. Then you saved yourself a single spoon. In the dish lottery, you buy yourself an extra ticket. Enjoy your extra 12 seconds of free time. It adds up. Allegedly, said fucking nobody ever. The 30-year-old, and I keep thinking that I'm in my late 30s when really I'm 33. I guess I would say I'm in my mid 30s, but is just do the dishes. You want to use a spoon? Use a spoon. You want to use a slotted spoon to serve or to plate, and you use the spatula to flip, then go ahead. Use the slotted spoon to plate and the spatula to flip. You're not doing anything else in the meat. Like 90% of adult life is basically just having Netflix on while you do chores anyway. You might as well just be comfortable while you cook. Instead of trying to min-max, hey, we're going to have like a project management meeting. We're going to have a daily stand-up to determine how to have the minimum amount of dishes from cooking dinner. Well, instead of cooking the pasta in one pot and then cooking the sauce in another pot, what if you just cooked the pasta, drained the pot, put the pasta off to the side, and then used that pot to cook the sauce, and then put the cold-ass sticky pasta into the... Just wash 2 pots. It doesn't matter. You're screwing up the concurrency of your dinner in order to do one less dish. People will really be like, yeah, dinner took 90 minutes to cook, but at least I only have to wash 1 pot. Shit's crazy, man. Don't even talk to me about the Peloton, man. I'm fighting for my damn life out there. I thought that the problem with the Peloton coming back on it would be that my the area where I place my weight, my sit bones, if you will, I thought they might be too tender in order to facilitate me getting back on the bicycle, but that's not the case. Instead, I'm realizing that a week of not digesting any of the food that I've consumed has left me cardiovascularly weaker than expected. But Either way, I'm still out there. I'm chunking them away on my 30-minute Cody Rigsby pop rides. You guys know the artist Kim Petras? She has an EP called Slut Pop. Yeah. It's not just me then. Okay. Yeah, she's pretty cool. Yeah, I was doing a 3-minute climb to Throat Goat today. Please tell me you saw the interview with Ted Cruz where he says he's a gamer and then talks about how much he loves playing mobile games, putting $20 in so he can feel powerful. And then he assumes that that's going to make him the friend of the gamers when actually it's like the exact antithesis of what quote-unquote core gamers are into. It's shameful. Dude, you could go look at, it's not a deep fake, I swear to God.
Now, I'm something of a gamer. Now, I'll confess, when I play some games, I'll sometimes buy it because it is more fun if suddenly your character has a lot more great stuff that would take you 6 months or a year to build up. So sometimes I'll spend $20 and buy a treasure chest full of coins because then I can spend them to get cool things in the game.
That's not really what he said. I mean, this is a paraphrase, but I genuinely promise you this is a good faith paraphrase. He said, I'm a gamer. I like to play these mobile games, and I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes, they allow you to purchase, like, stronger items and stuff like that. So sometimes, I'll throw in $20 to get a treasure chest or something like that so I can feel powerful. You can go look up the interview for yourself. That's basically exactly what he said. I might have even put some positive sauce on it. That's a good paraphrase. Thank you. I just couldn't believe that, he's probably our best shot at a first gamer president. I didn't realize that he's a mobile game whale. Joe Biden is not a gamer president. Joe Biden, I feel like he played, like, he was around when pinball was invented, maybe? I don't know, when was pinball invented? It's like the 1950s, maybe? Seems about right. Come on, man. He was old when Tetris came out. I mean, that's what I've been saying, and not even in a negative way. It is kind of crazy to think, like I'm a little old. Like, I'm old enough that movies from my youth are kind of like old movies. I'm not of the opinion, like, oh, Jurassic Park is modern. I understand Jurassic Park is like, it's a classic movie now. People probably look at it the same way like I look at Back to the Future or something like that. But you can really get, like, old as shit if you live for a long time. I know it's a self-fulfilling statement, I suppose, but, like, can you imagine being so old that, like, Jurassic Park, the movie you liked when you were a child, turns 70 or something like that? I mean, that's crazy. Can you imagine being alive for the 70th anniversary re-release? I was just browsing some trending topics last night. I haven't seen the Jurassic World movies, except I did see Jurassic World. I saw the first half of it. I saw up till the point where the kids are inside of the dinosaur ball, and then Jimmy Fallon is giving them the safety presentation, and then, like, I don't know, a Gigantosaurus or something like that knocks the ball over, and then things go wrong. But I was laughing because, like, Chris Pratt was a trending topic. So many tweets were like, how did we end up getting a trilogy of Jurassic World movies where Chris Pratt's only technique to stop dinosaurs is going like this? And every time he sees, it's a T-Rex? Hey, hold on a second. He sees a Gigantosaurus. Whoa, hold on there. It's crazy. Let's be cool. Also, I read that r/movies post about Jurassic World, the new one, I forget what it's called, Dominion or something, where it said, and these are spoilers, so I apologize, but I don't apologize because it has like a 38 on Rotten Tomatoes right now. But I didn't realize at the end of the second Jurassic World, dinosaurs and they escaped from whatever, like, black market auction they were going to be at, and then they just start coexisting with man. And my devil deal? The new movie apparently starts with the moral that humans and dinosaurs are going to have to learn to coexist, which is one of the most funny statements I think I've ever heard in my life. How on earth is human society going to coexist with bloodthirsty, predatorial lizards, like pterodactyls flying around downtown Manhattan, New York City? Like, what are we gonna do, man? We're gonna like bump into a velociraptor when I'm trying to get on the subway and be like, oh, sorry, sir, sorry. That's the beauty of modern society, man. Just like, I'm not gonna have a pterodactyl coworker or something like that. It's just madness. They would be hunted to extinction. Come on, it's like, it doesn't make any sense. Also, and this is because I did see about 10 minutes of Jurassic. There was another post in the same thread that kickstarted it for me, and I was like, I remember complaining about that too. In the second movie, the main, bad guys, their whole thing is they like, kidnap dinosaurs or nap dinosaurs, and then they like sell them in auctions and stuff like that. So that's already, you got to suspend like some degree of disbelief. But the real thing that you have to suspend your disbelief for is that the top bid for dinosaurs in these auctions is like $10 million. At the height of insanity, there were like bored apes selling for like $1 million. And you could get like a real Tyrannosaurus Rex for, I don't know, $15 million. It's kind of, it seems like I know where I would put my money, personally. Don't get me wrong, you probably got other carrying costs with a T-Rex. Like, you gotta eat a lot of... It's gotta eat a lot of food. You gotta have a pen in order to hold it and stuff like that. You gotta have some staff, but... I mean, it's a dinosaur, man. They capture the minds of man. Yeah, exactly. Like, you could either have a T-Rex or you could have 1 year of Eric Carlson's contract for the San Jose Sharks right now. I mean, honestly, the Sharks would probably be better off having the T-Rex patrol the blue line. Jurassic World, it's in an esteemed or an unesteemed collection. Movies, movies that I turned off on an airplane. Technically, it's an exception because it was actually during a layover at an airport when I turned it off. But if anything, that's kind of even worse. And apparently, I got to assume Jurassic World is the best of the three because it's the first. Movies to morb to. I thought it was bad when when the 80s were being like nostalgia to hell, and like I mean, I guess we're still living in that. When like every 2 years there's like a new Ghostbusters remake, and like I guess Cobra Kai is good. People seem to like Cobra Kai. But obviously Stranger Things is still going on and stuff like that. And, I was like, man, when are we going to move on to 90s nostalgia? And then I thought about it, and nothing says 90s nostalgia more than, like, the Jurassic World movies. And I've decided I'm ready for, maybe like 2000s nostalgia. I'm ready for them to reboot The Wedding Crashers with Timothy Chalamet and then Finn Wolfhard. I think that would be a remake of Wild Wild West. Dodgeball 2. Can you imagine? Imagine what? The greatest movie of all time? Iron Man remake? Jarvis? I did read that article that was like, here's the 25 worst movies of the 2000s. And I have to say, I agreed with like literally every single one. I forget what was first. Oh, no, I don't. First is Disaster Movie. Now, admittedly, I don't know if I've seen Disaster Movie, but I have seen Epic Movie. Epic Movie is unbelievably bad. It's perhaps... talk about movies I turned off on an airplane. I turned that off while I was doing the dishes, which is like a new level of like, this movie is ass. The Happening was up there. A horrible movie. Is Epic Movie the one where they have the balls on their chin? No, that's movie 43, which didn't even make the list. Meet the Spartans was also on the list. I remember in university, I had a friend, and he came over one day, and he was like, bro, you gotta see this. And then he pulled up, like, his laptop, because this is what it was like in 2008, 2007, 2008. He pulled up his laptop, said, do you have an HDMI cord? And then I was like, sure. And then he plugged the HDMI cord from his laptop into the TV, went to YouTube 1.0, and then typed in, like, Meet the Spartans montage or something like that, and then made me sit there and watch like one of the This Is Sparta parody scenes from Meet the Spartans with Carmen Electra. Oh man, So he tortured you? He's a funny guy. This is a true story. It reflects badly on both of us, I want to say. But one day he came over and, you know, maybe there was some drinks involved, but he was flexing for no reason about how he's like the biggest Beatles fan on the planet. Just like inane shit that, like, who cares, right? Like, even if it was true, it wouldn't matter, but it's just like, it's a lie. Like, I'd never heard him talk about the Beatles before in my entire life. And I said, I bet I can name more Beatles songs than you. And he said, you're on. And then he went first and named the song. Then I went first and named the song. And then he stopped after like 3 songs. After 3 songs, he was like, and then it was over. And I was like, what? Like, why are you even trying to pretend? You know nobody knows more about the Beatles than me, man. He was like, Hey Jude. And I was like, Maxwell Silver Hammer. And he was like, Eleanor Rigby. And I was like, Helter Skelter. And then he was like, I'm done, man. Oh, this reflects worse on you? Well, that's why it's my favorite type of story. It definitely does not reflect well on me. He did also, this is more of like a sensitive story, but he was having like a really bad time at a party we threw once, because he thought, I mean, this is like, I'm gonna say it no matter what, but you gotta, it was a long time ago, okay? He had a crush on a girl, and then that girl was at our party, and she was talking to another guy, and he got very melancholy because he thought that like she was giving him more attention than she was giving the other guy more attention than she was giving him. But the second order wrinkle to the story is that she had a boyfriend who was not either of these 2 guys, and like they ended up getting married. Like she was just friends with like both of these guys. It's just a disaster, right? Anyway, so he came to the party and he got upset because his crush who was dating somebody else was having a conversation with another guy. And I remember like we couldn't find them for a while. We were like, where's this guy? Where's this guy? And then I went up to my room and the dude was like sitting on my bed in my room, like, you know, crying. Which is, I do want to say, like, you got your young, alcohol's involved, you know, emotions can run hot, right? Like, it's a little embarrassing, and a little cringe, but it happens. But I was trying to comfort him, but the thing that pissed me off is I kept a bunch of food in my room so that my roommates wouldn't eat it, and he had just, like, he ripped open my bag of Ruffles all-dressed chips and was just eating them on my bed. And I was like on the one hand, I'm like trying to make you feel better, but at the same time, I was like, bro, you ate like my name brand chips on my bed? Come on. Like he had gone complete sicko mode. He just didn't care about anything, man. Dude, I know the crumbs, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, he's okay. I don't know, I haven't talked to him in like 10 years. He's probably fine. It's the most college story I've ever heard. I mean, it sounds really stupid when you tell it back. And it was really stupid at the time, to be fair. How many friends did you lose when you went to South Korea? Well, I don't know. It depends. Like, because I would still consider them friends. But at the same time, you know, would I know them if I saw them on the street? Would I recognize them? I don't know. Would I remember their names? Would I look up from my cell phone to wave? I don't know. I don't know, honestly. I'd have to think about it. No, the answer to all 3 is no. If I saw some of my friends from college, I would definitely cross the street to say hi. But it is weird because, like, you know, we lived in this crucible together, a very non-representative crucible of what real life is like and, you know, what our real personalities are like. From 17 to 21 or something like that. And then saw each other like 3 times from that point onwards, and now we're in like our early 30s. I think it would be very cool to see my friends from college, but I think it would also be very surreal because I would be like, hey, check it out. Remember how we played like all that Edward 40 hands, but then we did it instead of just duct taping a 40 to each of our hands. We then duct taped each other to the adjacent person's 40 so that you couldn't get your hand back until one of your neighbors had also finished their 40. So there was like a little mutually assured destruction going on. Yeah, well, like, hey, what's new with me? I got like a 2-year-old child. I am responsible for like a tender human life right now. And what's messed up is that it's like I'm handling it, you know? It's not like this child is in danger. I'm doing a good job. Thought she was 20 months. You don't need to, come on, don't debase yourself. She's around too. When another child or the parent of another child asks me how old my child is, I say 20 months. For you guys, I can say nearly 2. Oh yeah, by the way, I see a lot of people, you must be old heads. We don't do Zane anymore because Isaac betrayed me. Previously, I thought that the only path to true enlightenment in this game was shrugging off the good items and then taking all of like the items that instead lead to some variance in terms of quality in order to lead to some hilarity. Then they stopped placing good items in the game. They got rid of the damage upgrades, the tears upgrades, and the HP upgrades. And every time I try to do a zany run, it's like, oh, imagine how zany it would be if your tears did no damage at all, and also your tear rate was really low, and you had no HP, and blah, anyway. So now I just, I take items that are good, and I ignore the items that are bad, and, I mean, we've been cruising since then. It's funny, ever since I started playing Isaac like the people who play well, I've gotten a lot less comments about how, hey, NL's like, he's really funny, anytime the Isaac subreddit talks about me, sometimes I don't need to watch perfect Isaac play. That's when I go and I watch NL. Just because he's got a certain unique banter quality. He's probably the worst player of the game I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, he doesn't even know that Robo Baby 2.0 plus rubber cement gives you a Robo Baby 2.0 laser beam that can bounce off the wall. And if then that passes through multi-dimensional baby, it can get a 1.5x damage bonus. I mean, who doesn't know this insane synergy that's happened 2 times in the real world? But I think it's cute how he can just keep his mouth moving like a mile a minute, and sometimes I use that, I need that because it is a good distraction for me from remembering that I have to give a 5-minute speech in 7th grade public speaking tomorrow, which I'm really nervous about. Now that I started playing the game, like the people who do well, mostly it's just a lot of people complaining about how, like, I'm so good at the game that it's boring now. And I gotta tell you, it feels damn good. It feels damn good. Thoughts on Lupe Fiasco? I had food and liquor in 2006. You think I'm not familiar with Kick Push? You think I'm not familiar with Daydreamin'? Fell asleep amongst the flowers for a number of hours on a beautiful day. I told you, I'm something of an old head myself. Any rap album from the mid-2000s that some 37-year-old dude who rocked a Banana Republic button-up shirt underneath a Banana Republic sweater and gave a 7.5 plus on pitchforkmedia.com, I was all about it. As long as some dude named like Bill Schreiber, who had been in music journalism for 40 years, said this album's worth listening to, I was like, oh, damn, this goes off. This goes hard. Aesop Rock be smoking that loud. For real, for real. No cap, no cap. Y'all want to listen to Sicko Mode? Hey, kids, you ever listen to Sicko Mode? I mean, Let It Go is not the ideal song for, you know, the demographic of people who are in my Twitch chat. You know, not too many predominantly men between the age of like 18 and 35 are like, oh, Let It Go really speaks to me. Instead, they'll always play you a song. It'll be like, hey, oh, dude, okay, you just got to listen to one song by my favorite band, okay? It's 14 minutes long, and it's on an album with 2 songs, and it starts with down down digga digga doom down down doom 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 digga digga doom 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 bring 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 to doom digga 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 doom digga digga digga. And sorry, so Let It Go is not that was supposed to be Siberian Cat True by Yes, by the way, but it's not exactly like a huge overlap with Let It Go, but they went off on the sound. You gotta respect the majesty of a Disney soundtrack when it goes right. You know, it didn't go right in every movie, but Beauty and the Beast, Frozen, The Lion King, even Tarzan. Tarzan's not really like my I was getting a little old for the Disney stuff by then, but just getting Phil Collins to like, hey, Phil Collins, we got a movie about a man who lives in the jungle. You want to write like the best song of your entire career for no reason? And he's like, he's Australian, right? He was like, yar, He's English? Bro, Phil Collins is Australian, I think. Yar, you know, not Y-A-R-R, Y-A-U-R. Phil Collins is not Australian? None of the live actions are good? I mean, here's the rare NLL. I heard that the Lion, or not the Lion King, please don't judge me based on that. I heard that the Jungle Book was great. Lion King is not good. And Lion King is basically like a worse shot-for-shot remake. It has no reason to exist. Aladdin, I saw it in theaters because my wife wanted to see it. I recognize that people are very cynical about the Aladdin remake because Will Smith as a big blue genie is kind of humorous. The Aladdin remake is the definition of like exactly fine. You'll be like, you'll leave the movie theater and you'll be like, that was not the worst use of like 2 hours of my time. Yeah, it's like a borderline 5, something like that. Here's the thing though, I'm not excited to watch the Jungle Book live action, because if they wanted to make a good live action, they shouldn't have made it the Jungle Book. That's like one of the lesser Disney animated films that came out during my childhood. Like Lion King's #1. They should have just made the Lion King great. That would have saved me this whole debacle in the first place. If not, like maybe they could have made the live action Mulan really good or something like that. I personally, my theory, and maybe this is the way that it should be, but my theory is that your favorite Disney animated movie will always be the one that came out when you were like 7 years old. When you're at the perfect age for that movie to hit you. So, you know, I was born in 1988. The Lion King came out in 1994. I got an insane nostalgia for the animated Lion King. And then the movies that surround the Lion King, I also, I like, but it's like a Gaussian distribution. My favorite is the Lion King. I was born in 1998. Well, that's not fair because Disney was making a lot of dog shit movies in 2000 and like the mid 2000s. They went through a period where like shit was not good, right? And then they were like the mid 90s, the early and mid 90s were incredible. And then they got to like, you know, Treasure Planet and they're like, we don't really know what we're doing anymore. Here's like a Brother Bear movie. And then they kind of like, you know, fucked around for like a few years. And then they were like, The Princess and the Frog, we're back. What you think, I sold them all? Pixar was popping off then. That's true. Brother Bear slaps? Does it? What are these items, dude? I loved Brother Bear as a kid. That's the thing, whenever, like, I don't take offense. Whenever people that are like, you know, 23 now are like, actually that children's movie that came out when I was 7 was awesome. It's not, and that's okay. There's a lot of shit that I watched when I was a kid that I thought was amazing, and then as an adult, if you ever get the chance to see it again, you realize it's for kids, which is fine. But you know, expecting people that were like, you know, older than 8 to be interested in this thing if they were older than 8 when it came out is not reasonable. Best newer kids movie is The Incredibles. I mean, I'm kind of like I'm a bit of a slut for the Pixar movies. I have no interest in Lightyear just because it also hits my incredible distaste for nostalgia, where I just think it's like the cheapest way to get people interested in your property is like, hey, remember this shit that came out like 15 years ago? It's back. Remember how the human mind is unable to accurately evaluate the value of things that happened at a different age of our lives, and we're predisposed to always look at the past through rose-colored glasses and think that things were always better like exactly 15 years ago. Well, we got a new movie that's it's kind of in the same vein as that one that you liked, but worse. But anyway, like Inside Out, incredible movie. I love it. Finding Dory, not incredible. Not incredible. What's the other Pixar stuff? Turning Red. Turning Red was really good. Coco. Don't tell my wife. I'm throwing her under the bus on this one. My wife, and you know, rare Kate L. My wife hates Coco for whatever reason. And every time she brings it up to other people, they're always like, what the heck, you hate Coco? That's like one of the most beloved Pixar movies ever. I'm in love with the Coco. So true. Onward's okay. It's Onward is like a 6.5. The Good Dinosaur is like a 3. They fucked it up. That one, something went wrong for sure. But we have entered an era for sure where like you know, there's like 2 Pixars, right? It's like when, before we realized that we had it backwards, and we were like, hey, once every 2 movies, there's gonna be like a real Star Wars movie, and then like in the odd years, there's gonna be like a fake Star Wars movie, like Rogue One and Solo and stuff like that. Those aren't the ones you really want to pay attention to. You want to pay attention to the episode 7, the episode 8, the episode 9. It turns out we were wrong about that one. We should have had it the opposite. We should have said any Star Wars movie directed by J.J. Abrams deserves to be ignored, and you should pay attention to the ones that don't have as much to do with the main saga. But anyway, that's where we're at with Pixar, right? Like half of the new Pixar movies are like 7s, and then half of them are 9.99s. Soul, 9.99. Onward, 7. Coco, 9.99. Good Dinosaur, like a 2. You like Rian Johnson Star Wars? Yes. I mean, the one movie they allowed him to make before firing him forever, yeah, I enjoyed The Last Jedi. It's not my favorite movie of all time. I don't think, you know, they're ever gonna fit like a bold Star Wars movie into the Disney corporate, you know, we gotta sell tickets to all 205 countries on Earth sort of mold. But when I saw it, I was like, I kind of like what they're going for here. I kind of like that it's at least a little different. Turns out that was not the plurality take. I was surprised to find when I left the theater, and everyone was like, I fucking hate that. It's the worst shit I've ever seen. They didn't even have a single... Boba Fett doesn't even show up and say, it's Gulp Shido time. What the hell happened with Maz Kanata? They introduced that whole Maz Kanata thread in episode 7, and then they don't even have Maz Kanata in the new movie? I thought she was going to give Rey her Kyber crystal that was going to allow her to discover that her true parents were Luke Skywalker and Boba Fett. Well, you know, we've talked about it a lot. We don't even have to talk about Star Wars anymore. Everybody is in the same spot on Star Wars right now, which is that, like, it's not giving anybody what they want. This is not a joke. Like, the only person I know who liked Episode 9 is Dan. I think he gave it either a 9 or a 10, which is so funny. It's just a movie. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but it's insanely funny that he gave it a 9 or a 10. But I don't think anybody out there is like, you know, any adults at least they're thrilled with the current place of the place that Star Wars is in, which is fine. It's, you know, it's just a media franchise. It's okay. Normies still like it. I don't know, man. I feel like anytime, you know, I only hear about it like adjacent when I watch other streams and stuff like that, but nobody that I know has been like, or that I've heard from has been like, oh, Obi-Wan's been amazing. Mostly when I hear people that are watching Obi-Wan, they're like, I tolerate it. Yeah, I mean, I'll like watch it till it's over. I've been tolerating the show. It's been tolerable. I've heard that from my normie friends and family. Really? I don't know. Not me. I've been hearing a lot of positive stuff about Severance. People will not stop trying to get me to watch Ted Lasso. By the way, and if you'll allow me to be a hater, Miles Teller is one of those actors I can never tell if he's older than me or younger than me. Certainly in Whiplash, he plays like a high school student, and I was like, I don't know, 26 when that movie came out. But in Spiderhead, he looks like a 41-year-old man. He has like neck wrinkles. He was born in 1987. Why not? He's 38. He's 25. He's 69. He's 25. He's 28. I feel like I'm on The Price is Right now. He's 12 years old. I don't think he's 12 years old. He's not. There's no way he's 42. But if I had to, so I haven't looked it up. If I had to guess, okay, well now I saw the birth date in chat, which is also fine. He's 35. So he's 2 years older than me. That's crazy because, like, again, he was cast young for Whiplash then. Like, he was playing much younger than his actual age. Because I honestly thought, like, without being rude, I thought something happened. Because when I saw him in Spiderhead, I was like, is this guy okay? Because he was younger than me when he was in Whiplash. And now he's older than me. But I'm pretty sure that time advances at, like, the same rate for everybody. Whiplash is not new. Yeah, but, like, he got older than I did. And I started older than him. Time is relative. Well, I don't know. I guess if he was traveling like close to the speed of light, which he might have for the filming of Fantastic Four, I don't know if maybe they actually, like, he's a method actor where he was like, I'm actually going to become Mr. Stretchy for that movie or whatever and travel close to the speed of light using my Reed Richards propulsion technology or something, but that would make him younger. Okay, I guess maybe I was traveling closer to the speed of light then or whatever. I don't know. You should be impressed, honestly, that a streamer on this platform knows about time dilation as you get closer to the speed of light to begin with, okay? Most of us on this web, let me put it this way, you do not have to pass an aptitude test in order to hit the go live button. Can you not just like give me the +2s for not being scientifically, you know, exhaustive in my knowledge, but at least literate to some extent? -2, this is ridiculous. The standards you have, it's out of control. Weed streamers know all about it. I mean, I wish I was a weed streamer sometimes. I feel such pressure on a daily basis to provide high quality entertainment. To just go live and then like smoke some weed and put on like a Tom Scott YouTube video in the background and be like, whoa. It would be nice. It'd be nice for a change of pace. I'd still watch. YouTube has democratized knowledge and misinformation, to be fair, but it's democratized knowledge, and that pisses me off in a way, because now, like, it used to be in, like, even in the early mid-2000s, even in the early 2010s, you could be like kind of ignorant about things. Now everybody knows everything because of 2-hour-long video essays about like what went wrong during the filming of Watership Down, the animated movie from like 1983. So you used to just be like, man, I really like that movie Watership Down. Well, that was a classic. Oh, you haven't seen the Defunct Land Cross Lindsay Ellis 18-part video essay about what went wrong during its production? Ryan, some of the animators were so overworked they died, okay? They died. I didn't know, man. It's unreasonable to expect everybody on Earth to have that much knowledge about everything they've ever consumed. No, I made that part up. I don't know about Watership Down. It was still problematic, though. Didn't a bunch of animals die in the, like, animated animals die in the movie? On the other hand, it is nice because I do think it allows, like, you used to have questions. You'd be like, man, I wonder if the Fast Pass, like, actually speeds things up or if it slows things down. And then all you have to do is bring it up in Twitch chat and then, like, you know, just say it right now. Go ahead and say it. 1,500 people are going to be like, you should watch this 7-hour-long video essay about the history of the Disney Fast Pass. It made things way worse. We got an urban planner did a Monte Carlo simulation. Those lightning lane bastards. It might be the best video on YouTube. Excuse me. Man places elastic bands on watermelon until watermelon explodes and hits him in the chest and knocks him backwards off his computer chair. I don't know. I think I would honestly be like either the worst or the best you laugh, you lose streamer, because I laugh at everything. I think I have a sympathetic laugh. Like, if I ever think that somebody is trying to tell a joke and if it lands, even if the landing is askew, I always give them a courtesy chuckle, which leads to some awkwardness occasionally because it turns out not everyone tries to make every sentence a joke, unlike me. Some people will just literally, like, say a sentence just to say it, and communicate, not simply to try to elicit some laughter from whoever they're talking with. Yeah, whatever. But dude, at daycare yesterday, oh man, I felt like Dr. Manhattan. First it was just me and one other mom, and she was like, how was your weekend? And I was like, I had food poisoning. She just got disintegrated. So good. Normally it would be like, oh, it's pretty good. How was yours? Oh, we went to, you know, this park. Oh, it's really cool. Instead, I just led with, I have food poisoning. Get vapored. Holy cow. Then another couple showed up, and the dad said, how was your Father's Day? I said, actually, I had food poisoning. Put me on the advantage for the rest of the conversation. And then they were like, you know, they tried to compete. They were like, oh man, ours was kind of rough too. We spent 5 hours trying to get our daughter to go to sleep last night. And in my head, I was like, that's rough, don't get me wrong, but it's not taking 20 poops a day. It's not quite on the, like, I feel bad for you. But at the same time, at least you didn't run the risk of pooping your pants in public as an adult. In a way, it's kind of great, man. I'm not saying it was worth getting food poisoning in order to have the moral high ground in every conversation, but it's a feeling I don't experience that often. So worth, dude, so worth. Does seem pretty good. Sire, my bitrate. Dude, I gotta ask, at this point, when do you think Dan's actually gonna beat Malenia? Because I think it's worth at least having the conversation. He hasn't gotten close yet, right? Like, he's seen phase 2 30-something times, but has he ever gotten phase 2? I mean, on what percentage of those did he hit her even a single time in phase 2? He's gotten like 10% into phase 2. You gotta hand it to him. I mean, in some ways. Although I will say, I watched his stream for like 5 minutes today after I got off the bike, and he died for the 1700th time. And then he started to like, I felt like he was sort of blaming me for how long he had been fighting Malenia, because he was like, oh, Ryan Gary, in his own way, responsible for Pace Picante because of his message that said, I implore you to level Vig. And I'm like, what are you talking? My message that said, hey, just so you know, you'll be playing this game for like 8 months if you don't level Vig. That led to you being like, I'm never gonna level it. And as a result, it's my fault. He took it as a challenge. Yes, I agree 100%. He took it as a challenge. That's not my fault. That's a flaw in his own psychology. You should know him better. I mean, he's approaching his 40s, right? Like, this is a guy, he can handle his own life. I'm not gonna police the way I speak to my friend Daniel, because his ego got in the way of common sense. What is happening on the screen? I wouldn't expect you to understand advanced level Isaac gameplay like this. I took a little offense when he suggested it was partly my fault that he didn't level Vig because of the message I said that said level Vig. But anyway. NL, have you watched Xavier Renegade Angel? Yeah, it's my favorite show. I've seen every episode of it. Have you seen Biblically Accurate Xavier Renegade Angel? It's so good. Yeah, it's my favorite show ever. Although I will say I don't like how they changed the way that his Halo works between the manga and the TV show. I understand why they did it, because it would be really hard to animate, but at the same time, I feel like personally I would have liked it if it was a more authentic recreation of the way that it was in the manga, but again, you can't really complain when you happen to get stuff like this. You know, I'm just happy to be here. He doesn't know. I don't know anything. Only anime I've ever watched in my life, Dragon Ball Evolution, starring Justin Chatwin, Emmy Rossum, and the guy who played Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's not an anime. Oh, yeah, okay, sure. Xavier Renegade Angel, not an anime. Okay, what is it? Go ahead, tell me. It's an Adult Swim type show? Oh, so Ohio anime. Is it one of those shows where, like, you know what I'm gonna say, right? Like, Fox always, like, announces a show that's like, it's like, it's an animated show, and the gimmick is that all the people look like fucking shit. Like, all the people just look fucking disgusting and, like, bad. It's one of those, and they swear a lot. Yeah, I mean, like, if there was a genre of media, and I haven't even seen, like, any of these shows, so this is not fair, but again, it's just my honest opinion. Nothing activates my haha cringe energy like an adult animated show about, like, grown-ups behaving badly. Like, ooh, you shouldn't do that. I see it on Netflix now and then. There's the show advertised. It's called, like, Chicago Wine Ant. I'm gonna be honest with you, Netflix. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm never gonna watch that shit. I'm never gonna watch an animated show called Chicago Wine Ants, okay? I honestly, it could be the best show of all time. It could win, like, every Emmy for its entire duration. I would never watch it, because I would have to look myself in the mirror every day and be like, I made the decision to watch a show called Chicago Wine Ant, where, like, there's a middle-aged lady, but she's not like normal middle-aged ladies, like, you know, Meryl Streep. She's pissing and shitting and drinking wine on her stoop and stuff like that. It's just I just can't do it. I have to maintain some level of self-respect. Sorry, it's Chicago party ant. My mistake. Not Chicago wine ant. Like to apologize there. If anybody here works on Chicago wine ant, you're innocent. I still would not watch the show, but you haven't done anything wrong. BoJack Horseman's different. Yeah, but BoJack Horseman is like, it's a show. Like, Chicago party ant, that's a tweet. That's not a show. I don't want to see this disgusting looking animated abomination behaving badly. Like, it's just disgusting. It's just deplorable that it exists in the first place. Just offends my sensibilities. I'm not offended by it, although I will say I feel like the normalization of drinking culture among middle-aged women is much like sports betting is something that has crept in our society so slowly over time as to be insidious, but has very real effects. However, it's mostly just that I just can't believe that it got greenlit. It's wine o'clock. I'm on my soapbox again. Don't worry, it's on Netflix. It's canceled already. There's just something about Netflix right now. They only greenlight. They're like, hey, Netflix, we have a show for you, okay? It's about cooking food with a blindfold on. Here's $100 million. Here's 9 seasons. Here's front page promotion. It's a show about baking cookies, but if you lose, you have to take an item of clothing off. It's called strip loin. At the end of the show, whoever is the most naked loses. Holy cow. Here's our entire free cash flow from 2021. Could I possibly, we'll put someone on this. I'm trying to think about who would be a great host for this. Alton Brown is busy doing 900 television shows right now where he doesn't pick up so much as a single spatula. He just, looks good in a suit and tells me what the hell like a beurre blanc is. But that we can find somebody, don't get me wrong. Maybe like Alfonso Ribeiro, most famous for playing Carlton in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Then you go to Netflix and you're like, Netflix, hear me out here, okay? I have a show. You're gonna be really pissed off to begin with, okay? Because it's fiction. And then they're shuffling their papers. I'm out of here. Fiction? A story? I don't think so. And then you're like, wait, Reed Hastings, CEO of Netflix, don't go. Because it's a story of fiction about the Sinaloa drug cartel. And they're like, whoa, here's $100 trillion. Would you like to use the Narcos branding for this completely unrelated? I think Netflix is like it's the terminus of algorithm-driven content design. Like they've turned Spider-Man versus Elsa content farming into like a multi-billion-dollar business. Because now it feels like the only shows that are on the platform are cooking reality television programs, HGTV knockoffs about like, selling your house. Or they're not even about selling your house. Now it's just about real estate agents behaving badly while selling houses. It's like a Keeping Up with the Kardashians meets the Property Brothers sort of thing. And then shows about the Sinaloa drug cartel, and that's it. And Stranger Things, okay, and so Stranger Things is no longer my cup of tea, but they're trying. You're absolutely right. We've got to merge these ideas. What about a cooking show where the contestants cook crystal meth? That would be fantastic. Jesse. Dude, that could work as an SNL sketch, which is an insult, not a compliment, of course. But right after the sketch about how they try to get you to buy the special at the restaurant by spinning you a yarn, the chef got these rutabagas out of his own private penthouse garden. They were lovingly crafted with a Japanese katana folded 40,000 times. Pickled in a homemade vinegar the chef created himself from old red wine kept in oak casks. Oh, that sounds great. Anyway, we'll have 3 chicken sandwiches with curly fries, please. So right after that sketch, you could have Walter White is on Chopped with Jesse Pinkman, and they're cooking crystal meth. Your chefs, without further ado, please open up your mystery basket. Your ingredients: Sudafed DM, baking soda, lime, and chili pepper. You have 30 minutes. So immediately I'm thinking crystal meth, okay? So I know every time I watch this show, they're always like, I'm going to make crystal meth. And I'm like, no, you don't have time. The ice cream machine always breaks. But here I am making crystal meth on Albuquerque Chopped. I don't know anything about crystal meth, by the way. Someone said you can't list the ingredients. It's against the American law. I don't know what's in crystal meth. Definitely some form of cold medicine, because that's why I'm no longer able to buy it at the grocery store without a permission slip from a doctor. I assume it has both baking soda and vinegar in it in order to give it that bubbling type reaction. Little chili pea. It's my ADHD meds plus one mystery ingredient. That must be true, right? That sounds true. Sounds pretty true to me. I mean, I saw an episode of the show Drugs, Inc., where a dude was making crystal meth in the woods. And, like, he was just... They were talking about this guy like he's, like, the Walter White of the Midwest, right? He was literally just, like, mixing shit with, like, a paper funnel and then putting it in 2-liter Sprite bottles and burying it next to a tree in the woods. And then coming back whenever it was done. So it can't be that hard. It's called science. I mean, it is science, no doubt about it. It's very scientific. The hard part is not getting caught. That's what I always wondered about, like, Drugs, Inc. Is, like, they always have the people on the show, they're in, like, you know, balaclavas and stuff like that. But they'll be rolling around town in a car with, like, a bunch of assault rifles in the back, talking about how they're gonna, like, kill anybody that messes with them. And, like, I'm never gonna get caught, I'm gonna live forever. And I'm like, well, you should have said no to HBO then. Like, the first step in remaining incognito, in my opinion, would be like when Drugs Inc. comes around and is like, hey, can we profile, like, the exact way that your operation works? I would be like, no, I think. How did HBO find them? I mean, the whole thing is very suspicious. I saw one where there was the guy was actually, like, smuggling drugs over the border. And even though, like, the guy's face is obscured, you still feel like you gotta be kind of an idiot to let a film crew dictate the exact way that you're able to smuggle this stuff across the border. Because if all it takes is, like, somebody seeing that and being like, hey, we're gonna, like, plug this hole. It's just seems very short-sighted to me. So I always thought that, like, excuse me? I always thought that Drugs Inc. seemed like... I don't necessarily think it's fake, because I think HBO has better standards than that, as long as you ignore Game of Thrones. Bet you wish you could have plugged your hole last week. It's not a joke. I definitely wish I could have plugged my hole last week, quite frankly. But I think Kate told me there's, like, a Korean medicine that you can get, and it's like little black beads, basically. And when you drink them, it stops you from having, well, any bowel movement for a while. I don't know if it's like a psilocybin husk or whatever the heck it's called. They were not anal beads, okay? Worst fast food chain? I gotta be honest, all the fast food conversations have, like, left me by. They've passed me by. Because I would say basically since the end of college, I've only eaten at McDonald's. Like, the only time I eat at a and Subway, sure. The only time I eat at a non-Subway or McDonald's fast food restaurant is, like, if I'm at an airport where there's no options. I will definitely say, though, that, like, this is very Canadian. Tim Hortons is really bad. At least the last time I ate there, which was probably, like, admittedly 7 years ago now. But Tim Hortons is unbelievably not good. It's road food. Yeah, but, like, when you have options... I mean, like, the only time I've ever found myself going to a Tim Hortons since about, like, the year 2002, it's been, like, a Tim Hortons can only exist without competition. If you go to a place and it has a Tim Hortons and, like, a Wendy's, the Tim Hortons is going to have, like, 4 customers, and the Wendy's is going to have, like, 1,000. The most popular Tim Hortons in my hometown has to be the one that's right next to the Greyhound bus station, because, like, literally the buses leave at, like, 5:30 a.m., and it's the only thing within walking distance. That's the busiest Tim Hortons I've ever seen in my life. But if you ever have the other one, the Tim Hortons in the Biosciences Complex at Queen's University was always busy. So I think it was, like, the only coffee shop in the building. But then As soon as you get to an area where you like, if there's a Tim Hortons and a Starbucks and the McDonald's next door, I don't see that Tim Hortons doing anything, man. I will say, maybe this is like a bit of a hot take as well. I'm not necessarily like a Starbucks guy. I mean, really, like, I went through a period when the baby was first born. I was drinking as much coffee a day as I could get my hands on. And then, I don't know, maybe like 6 months ago, I got myself down to 1 coffee a day. I have 1 cold brew a day at home before the Peloton ride. And since then, my Starbucks consumption has fallen like 95%. I go like once every 3 months or something like that. I'm now free from the yoke, and I can tell you, for such a large company, like Starbucks is too large for their food to taste that mediocre. I've eaten the breakfast sandwiches, I've eaten the wraps, I've eaten the normal sandwiches. The company is too big to get a free pass for their food tasting like that bad. The Cubano sandwich is okay, but there's no reason for it to be 900 calories when it's not John Favreau level. But the breakfast sandwiches, man, I mean, if in a pinch, I wouldn't say no, but I mean, they don't hold a candle to the Egg McMuffin. And I think they might even be worse for you, which is kind of crazy. Burger King, I also always go to bat for as being insanely bad. But it is worth noting, before we, like make enemies from people who love a char-broiled tender crisp bacon cheddar ranch or whatever, I like some fast food that most conventional wisdom would tell you is really bad. I like a Subway from time to time. I like a KFC from time to time, though I only consume it, on perhaps a biennial basis. It is perhaps not fair because Burger King also maybe gave me my first case of food poisoning like 15 years ago. But the other thing is that I always feel like Burger Kings that I end up going to, because I never willfully choose to go to a Burger King, I only end up going under duress, which just compounds the amount of hatred I have for Burger King. Because the only other times that I'll go to a Burger King is when I have no options. Where do you have no options? U.S. terminal of the Vancouver International Airport. If you ever want to improve your perception of a restaurant, don't eat there while holding a 22-pound backpack at like 6:10 a.m. That's not a good way to engender positivity with an establishment. I also ate at a Burger King in San Francisco where I felt like for sure someone had died in the restaurant within the last 24 hours. Not outside of the restaurant, like within the confines of the lot. And then I don't know if anyone here is this Vancouver pilled, but maybe the last Burger King I ate at in my entire life was a Burger King on Upper Granville Street, which is like possibly the worst part of Vancouver, and I mean that almost literally. Like, it's so close to literal. In the party district on Granville Street, I had breakfast at that Burger King, and it was just the saddest restaurant I've ever been in. Like, the nicest thing I could say about that Burger King is it smelled like piss, and that's saying something. So I don't know if that's part of like Burger King's Canadian strategy, is like putting restaurants in distressed locations, but it's leading to me enjoying the product even less than I already do, which is zero. I do have to admit their buns have seeds. I mean, it's just also like Josh really likes the Burger King breakfast, and it's just led to me underrating it even more. Because, like, Burger King's breakfast doesn't hold a candle to the McDonald's breakfast, man. I'm just sorry to say. The Cruz sandwich doesn't touch an Egg McMuffin. It's not fit to carry a sausage and Egg McMuffin's book bag through the school halls. And don't even get me started on the little discs of potato versus a genuine McDonald's hash brown. Like, they're not even in the same ballpark. It's AHL versus NHL. I was hungover once and I pooped my pants in a Burger King, but it was nice because I just kind of walked out. See, that's the thing. They were probably like, oh my God, this guy must not be from around here. He shit his pants in the Burger King and left instead of staying for the rest of the day. We're so used to people coming into the restaurant, defecating in their own trousers and then just sitting in it for 12 hours. This guy is like, we gotta award him like customer of the year. Hey, chat, what NL food take do you most disagree with? This is a question. I mean, we've been building a lexicon of takes for 10 years. Well, look, take you have to, because I'm getting torn up a little bit here. Let me start a prediction. Me not liking eggs is not a take. That's just my opinion. Like, what are some classic NL food takes? You should be scared of an adult who orders milk to drink at a restaurant. That's a take. Now, I agree with it because I made the take, but at the same time, you may very much disagree with it. The zero with chip take, okay, that's a take. That the best tasting chip is... The best part of eating chips is the microsecond before the first chip that you anticipated eating touches your lips. Frozen PB&J. I mean, that's just like, it's one of those things where you just gotta let it go. That's not even a take. My take was just that it doesn't make sense to pre-prepare 7 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and then put them in the freezer, because the reason you do food prep is to save yourself like a disproportionate amount of time. By making all the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at once, you save like 20% time. I wouldn't consider something to be a justifiable meal prep until you're getting into like the, it saves you from cooking like multiple lunches or dinners or something like that. That one I stand by. It just, if anyone was like, here's a life hack, I make all 7 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at once and then just put them in the freezer, I would be like, that's not a life hack. You save me like 4 minutes a week. That's nothing. That's not a life hack. That's like it's a meager optimization. Joke food and serious food? I'll defend that one. Dude, there are some joke foods. I'm not trying to be pretentious about it, but some foods are jokes. Like a giant turkey leg from Disneyland, that's a joke. It doesn't mean it can't be tasty or like you can't enjoy it, but it's a joke food. A person does not eat a whole turkey leg when they're in a serious mood. It's a silly food. Dunkaroos are not a serious food. I've never eaten a whole turkey leg at an amusement park, but it did always strike. I've never seen someone that has like a half-eaten turkey leg and also has a smile on their face. They always look like that Kanye tweet where they're like, you ever bring a water bottle onto an airplane and now for the rest of the flight you gotta babysit this water bottle? It seems like one of those foods you enjoy for like the first, 5 minutes, and then after that you're like, I kind of wish I just got like a churro instead. Is meatloaf a serious food? I mean, I would say meatloaf is like it's a serious food that has a silly name. Like it's a food you eat for dinner with your family. It's not like cotton candy or something like that, but it does have a silly name, meatloaf. Now that you have a child, do you take back your picky eater hate? Oh, you mean now that I have a literal toddler, do I have more sympathy for adults who only eat pepperoni pizza with mayonnaise spread on top of it? I'll let you read between the lines on that one. The real answer is that it's complicated. As long as we're doing, VH1 behind the takes here, all of my negativity towards picky eaters stems from one very simple question. Are you a picky eater because you don't like the food or because you think you won't like the food? Because having been a picky eater myself, there is a distinction. And if you find yourself saying, why does it matter? Personally, that's your fucking problem, okay? I don't know why it matters, but why won't you answer the question? If you genuinely, like if we go out to eat and you're like, oh, I've never had artichokes before, and then I go, oh, here, have one of these artichoke hearts. Like, you might as well give it a try if you've never had it. If you go, or you give me like an interrogation, like, before I place this food in my mouth and immediately within 0.01 seconds, my brain gives me an appraisal of its taste, could you write an essay on its mouthfeel and its flavor, and is the texture a little squishy or is it a little slimy? And if you're open to eating foods and then you don't like them when you eat them, I don't have a problem with you. I have some pity for you, I suppose. But if you're like, I'm a picky eater, and just bizarrely for whatever reason, like there's a lot of foods that I just simply will not eat because I think I wouldn't like them, but I will not try them, then I meet that with the slightest bit of judgment. Not derision, just judgment. But I don't know, every time you talk about picky eating, it always becomes some argument about like freedom or something like that. Why can't I'm a grown adult. Why can't I eat a dinosaur chicken nugget for every meal if I want to? Well, you can, but like it's like freedom of speech, right? Like freedom of eating doesn't give you freedom of like not being made fun of or whatever. Plus, it's like I see you online. People that eat chicken tenders for like every single meal will be like, don't make fun of me. I'm a picky eater. It's a texture thing. But then meanwhile, they'll make like 1,000 jokes about veganism. How do you know somebody's a vegan? Oh, don't worry. They'll tell you. So, you know, I mean, admittedly, this is the strawest straw man that's ever existed. I'm just asking you to hold yourself to the same standards that you hold other people to. I make fun of a lot of stuff, but I'm not above making fun of myself. I mean, all that diarrhea talk, for example, I want you to know I'm down in the muck with you. It's a +2 conveyor belt. You can be a picky eater if you want. It's fine. Like, it actually doesn't matter. But if I'm out with you at, you know, why would I come in here? What am I thinking, man? I don't want to. Just give me the angel deals. I say no. I say no to that. Like, I really don't care if you're a picky eater. But, like, again, I think there's noble pickiness, which is I'll try anything. I just happen to dislike a lot of foods for whatever reason. That's fine. And then, like, there's not noble picky eaters, which are, like, I'm scared of a little negative taste in my mouth. That's where I'm like, you gotta at least give it a try. And again, it comes from a place of understanding. Because I was an insane picky eater before I went to college. I didn't like to eat soup because I was like, every food I eat is a solid. Now I'm gonna start introducing liquids into my diet. Oh, what's next? Maybe I'll start huffing some gas-based foods or something like that. I didn't eat rice, mostly because I just thought it was annoying. Like, now I gotta, you know, I could just be having some French fries. You, like, pick one up with your fingers and you're good to go. But this rice is, like, so much effort to eat and stuff like that. And then in university, you know, you get to the dining hall and you realize, like, if you want to be a picky eater, that's fine. Just prepare to destroy your body, because like the only foods that are available to you for you to eat that would fulfill this insane criteria are like pizza and chicken fingers, and you're gonna have like a heart attack in your 30s. So instead, I said, you know what? Let's start embracing the idea of you know, eating some foods that are a little out of my comfort zone. And wouldn't you know, it turns out all these foods that I had a preconceived notion that I wouldn't like because they were different than the shit that I started eating when I was 2 are actually like pretty tasty. And I was actually just like unnecessarily limiting myself by being like, you know, oh, I don't think I would like onion. I mean, look at it. So that's why I have that, not disdain, but like I feel like it's a big brother sort of influence where I'm like, maybe you're not in that camp. Maybe you're not someone who's afraid to try new foods and you're just picky because you don't like the way they taste for whatever reason. That's fine, as long as, in my opinion, you're actually tasting them. But again, it's your life, you know? If you want to become the president and then treat the Golden State Warriors to 40 McDonald's hamburgers and chicken nuggets when they come visit you, then, you know, don't let me stop you. You're a big boy. You're mommy's special lad. By all means. Just saying, there's a whole world out there that you might be limiting yourself from experiencing for a reason that I consider less, I mean, self-limiting. Just self-limiting. This is the least hypocritical take after you ate cat shit. My man will literally try anything once. That's what I'm saying. That's what I've been saying. Don't say this. Someone said I'm a picky eater because I'm broke and I can't afford to eat foods I don't like. What if being a picky eater has led you to only consuming frozen pizzas, which are like $9 a serving, though? And if you try to, you know, some beans and some chickpeas and some lentils and some brown rice, you know, you could be saving 30% on your margins every single week Don't just put "I'm broke" in parentheses as like the Dr. Manhattan vapor trump card. We gotta evaluate this on its own merits. Chad, I don't live in the Midwest, okay? Frozen pizzas are expensive here. People are like out of touch, but they're saying I'm out of touch. It's you who's out of touch. You're out of touch with Vancouver. Now, maybe Vancouver itself is out of touch with Canton, Ohio. I don't know. I've never been to the Baseball Hall of Fame. But I'm telling you, if you go to the grocery stores within the city proper, those are the numbers you're going to see. So don't tell me I'm out of touch. South Cincinnati, lol. Anyway, that's my thoughts on picky eaters. At the end of the day, it is also like it's your life. I'm just saying, like I'm thankful that I'm past the point of my life now where like I will roll in a group of like 8 adults. Nothing gives me more anxiety than seeing a group of like 10 adults walking on the sidewalk and knowing they're trying to choose what restaurant they're gonna have to go to for dinner. But like 2 of them are gluten-free, one of them's vegan, one of them, the only vegetable they'll eat is like potato and carrot, and then somebody's like, I don't care what it is as long as the entire cost for the dinner is like $4 or less. Just, man, that brings me right back. Adult picky eaters definitely, they do exist for sure. Potato and carrot guy is a Giga Chad. You can't just say the guy he represents what you believe is a Giga Chad. Although I guess that's the way the meme is typically used. My cousin's husband is 31 and only eats mac and cheese and chicken nuggets. You know what though? That's kind of like I wish you would take that story back. Because people should not labor under the pretense that they're gonna maintain that diet and find a spouse. That's something we can't fill people with false hope like that. Based. It's not, dude. Honestly, I don't know. I'm on my hater arc, as I've said. I don't think it's based to just eat mac and cheese and chicken nuggets as a 31-year-old man. The dream is not to never grow up. I think the dream is to maintain the positives of youth, while also acknowledging that there are positive things about getting older. Like most of the reason that people like eat differently in their 40s than they do in their 20s is because if they ate in their 20s like they ate in their 40s, their body would like fall apart and rot. This is not based to just be like, I'm destroying myself just to eat fried chicken morsels. Like, that's what's based is fueling your body with whatever you need, both mentally and physically, to, you know, continue fulfilling the processes of life in a comfortable way, you know, so you could be there for your family and so you could, you know, have some respect for yourself and stuff like that. Like that's cringe. Well, like, you know what? I guess I'm cringe then. I'll take that. I'll be cringe. I'm not saying you gotta eat exclusively, you know, Soylent for every meal. I'm just saying not exclusively chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. Because like, what do you do? Like, when you go out, it's date night with your wife. You have to go to a restaurant where you eat either they have chicken nuggets or mac and cheese on the menu. That's really limiting your options, man. Like, you're only going to like pubs and fast food restaurants. No, I'm not taking this. I refuse. I thought about it and then I backed off. Every place has a kids menu? No, they don't though. There's a lot of restaurants you might go for like a date night do not have a kids menu. Also, you can't, dude, think about your wife. She's going out for dinner with somebody. It's the man she's gonna have a child with. She orders, oh, you know what? Let me get the Blanco Tagliatelle. That sounds good. And you know what? I will pay a little extra for the squid ink. And what kind of wine pairing would you recommend for that? Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll take a 6-ounce glass of that. And then the man you're gonna spend the rest of your life with says, can I get 1 portion of mac and cheese off the kids menu and 1 portion of chicken nuggets off the kids menu? She's got to go home and look herself in the mirror after that, man. Like, you could meet her halfway and make her life a little easier, I think. Based. And then he's like, what wine pairing goes well with that? Okay. Why do you care so much? It's just funny. I mean, it's not... I guess the real answer is, I don't know. I guess I care because it's kind of noteworthy to meet a man my age who only eats chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. Like, that's very atypical. Honestly, fuck the question. Why do you care so much? They would do like a whole episode on TLC about that. That's why I care, because it's noteworthy. A Syrah would pair nicely with that. What's the soup du jour? It's the soup of the day. That sounds delicious. I'll have that. Again, you know, you can live your life. Don't get me wrong. But you gotta... I mean, look, okay, I walk on my toes and I'm bald, and I went bald when I was 19. I weathered the storm of being bantered with, because that's not typical. You don't meet a lot of college students in undergrad who are like legally not able to drink yet, but have already lost all of their hair and also walk like a weirdo. At no point did I go, why do you care so much that I'm bald? I recognize that, you know, the banter is part of the lifeblood of modern communication. You know, it's a playground that you can bandy about in. You can learn something about the people, you can learn something about yourself. And if you can't make fun of yourself, then honestly, I think you got some growing up to do. If you're a 31-year-old man, I mean, you better be able to make fun of yourself, because if you go out for like a business dinner with your boss or something like that, and he takes you to Dorsia, and you gotta ask the waiter if they've got mac and cheese or chicken nuggets on the menu, I mean, you're gonna have to defend yourself with some humor. You might as well practice here in Twitch chat, where it's a safe space. Am I safe from the banter because I'm only 26? I mean, I think there's still time. My advice, if you're a picky eater, I would honestly, like, here's what I would say, okay? There's a reason that there's, like, so many different kinds of restaurants out there. Just, like, once a week, eat a meal that goes off the beaten path. If you only eat, like, mac and cheese and chicken nuggets, try some Chinese food. It's not weird, I promise you. You know, go eat some Korean barbecue. Like, it's literally just meat. Try something. You don't have to, like, immediately go out there and start eating the maggot cheese or anything like that. But just, like, once a week, try something that's slightly out of your comfort zone. Just slightly. Eat, like, a spinach or something like that. And it's one of those things that I think will be what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a positive feedback loop. You will probably try something new and be like, wow, that's good, which will make you want to try more new stuff in the future. You overestimate my economic situation? Okay, instead of making air fryer chicken nuggets, start making like some, you know, make a bean chili or something like that, okay? Whatever, if you're only eating mac and cheese and chicken nuggets, you could definitely lower your budget on food. I don't know why people are trying this, like, false dilemma here that's like, I don't have money, so the only thing I can afford to eat is frozen chicken nuggets. Like, you can get cheaper than that, man. That kind of disingenuous take is not gonna fly with the grocery king. I've seen the prices of the frozen foods at the grocery store. New guy just dropped. Guy who only eats mac and cheese and chicken nuggets, and when he orders DoorDash, orders chicken nuggets. I don't really want to cook chicken nuggets tonight, honey. Do you think we could just order some chicken nuggets? Anyway. So that's, if that's the take you agree, or that's the question I guess you had for me. Do I feel differently about picky eaters? I don't know. It depends on why they're picky eaters, you know? Some people, I think that it's unavoidable. It's baked in. There's only specific textures that they can actually enjoy, and no amount of exposure therapy is gonna, like, change that for them. But then some people, I think they're just kind of, like, grossed out by the idea of, like a red pepper, and then just decided to never challenge that assertion. I don't know what the difference is between them. You know, I don't know what the proportion is. I'm just, I was in the latter category, so I know that the latter category definitely exists. I'm a picky eater, yet I eat ass. Explain? Well, that's what's, like, so messed up, right? Is that chat, on the one hand, like, there's people in chat who are like, this is a bad take. Like, I only want to eat the things that I want to eat. Why should I ever do anything else? They're the, like, most picky eaters of all time. But then they also have, like, the most insane fetishes. Fucking, oh, don't you love it when a big titty goth GF pulls out a gun and fucking kills you? They say shit like that. Oh, I love when a little gremlin girl pulls out a knife and fucking cuts my legs off, you know? And I'm like, you won't eat a mushroom? You won't even try it? But you would love to be literally swallowed by a giant lady. I don't think so. If you can't handle eating an enoki mushroom, I don't think you can handle being swallowed by a 90-foot tall Japanese woman, okay? I don't think you got the stones for it. I think she's gonna want a man who eats something besides chicken nuggets and mac and cheese, because you are what you eat. She's gonna go for somebody who's not afraid to take some culinary risks. I won't eat vegetables, but I'll eat ass, no problem. Is actually crazy, because like, I mean, you should eat vegetables. That's where I'm leaving it. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat ass, by the way. I'm just saying that if you're like, ooh, vegetables are icky, but then you're also like, damn, baby girl, do it be shitting, then you should acknowledge that you hold two positions at the same time, which should create some cognitive dissonance for you. That should create some stress in your life, because you're not living by a coherent set of standards. As long as your girlfriend's eating some vegetables, that's okay. Well, I mean, if that's the only way that you can get like vegetable content is via some trickle-down economics like that, then okay, sure. But I mean, again, the other thing, people say like, why do you care? It's hard to I really don't. If I went out for dinner with you to a fancy restaurant and you ordered, you know, kids menu hot dog or something like that, we can still be friends. But there is also, and I know how this sounds like a bully's saying like, I'm just bullying you to protect you. But I am also like, the reason I care, I guess, is because I want you to know that not everybody on earth is as nice as I am. They may not be as judgmental as I am, but they will be, when they are judgmental, they'll be much ruder about it. I'm judgmental to inoculate you from the judgment you will receive from the rest of society. Why so serious? Tsundere? Yes, it is tsundere. I learned that word from Xavier, Renegade Angel. It's my favorite new show. It comes on right after Chicago Party Aunt. My favorite genre of television program, adults behaving badly. The only other reason I care is because it's really nice, and you're gonna spin the victim card on this, and that's fine. It's really nice to have, like, you know, two adults over for dinner and just ask them if they're allergic for something and then cook something that you like cooking, instead of having to ask, just so we know, does your boyfriend only eat mac and cheese and chicken nuggets? Hey, do you have any dietary restrictions? I was hoping to make some paella. We do a beautiful paella. I'd love to share it with you. Well, we don't have any food allergies, but Jared only eats chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. That's a problem. I mean, that I guess we'll be having chicken nuggets and mac and cheese then. Or alternatively, we'll have some paella and then we'll give Jared a special plate, maybe like one of those McDonald's ones with Hercules on it from the mid-1990s, and he can have some, I guess he can have some. I mean, I'm already used to making a meal for my wife and myself, and then, you know, like 5 nights a week I'll make a meal for my daughter as well. Sometimes she'll just eat what we're eating, but I do also want, having been a picky eater myself, I do also understand that sucks to hear, because it's very stressful to be a picky eater and be worried about what's going to be there for dinner, because you're like, I'm not sure if I can eat this. So like, everybody's kind of like the victim in this situation. Your stomach, your rules. I also just think, you know, there's like a knock-on effect, right? Like, if you can only eat such a strict, and again, if you have a real dietary or like mental block on it, then so be it. But, you know, if you can only eat a subset of foods, you know, that's going to limit your ability to meet new people and to see new things, you know, and to travel, and maybe that stuff doesn't interest you, but I mean, my personal take is you're missing out a little bit if you feel like, you know, oh, I can like never leave the United States of America because if I travel to, you know, Spain, I'm not sure where I'm going to get my chicken nuggets from or something like that. But maybe the comfort of the chicken nugget diet is worth more than the experience of something new. And I think there's some validity in that if you truly know yourself. No nuggets in all of Spain? I'm just saying you wouldn't know where to get them, man. And the irony right now, I'm really craving some chicken nuggets. Maybe for lunch today, I'll go out and get some chicken nuggets. Get them from McDonald's? I couldn't find them in McDonald's. They had nuggets, but they were called Polo Nuggets. I don't want Polo Nuggets. I want some damn chicken McNuggets. Like, I remember when I went to Korea, when I was doing teacher training. Keep in mind, I was like 22 at the time. I was doing teacher training with a guy who was in his 30s. When we went out for lunch one day, we were like, what do you like to eat? And he was like, oh, I'm like a really picky eater. I don't like spicy food, and I don't really eat many vegetables. And I was like, you are fucked. You should have done some research on the country before you chose to come here. Because you're in for like a long year, my man. Korean food is, I mean, it's not that vegetable rich necessarily, but it's like most Korean dishes are spicy. And especially, well, maybe not most, but a lot of them are. And especially if you don't speak the language, like you're gonna be struggling, man. Until you find, you know, the existence of something called like Solomtong, which as an English-speaking only foreign resident of Korea, it could take you like 10 years to figure out that the food even exists. I felt so betrayed in the second episode of the new Iron Chef when Alton Brown calls it gochujang like 10 times. Alton, you're the food guy. Nobody on the entire staff of Iron Chef is gonna say it's gochujang. Gochujang. Gochujang is a spicy Korean red pepper paste that's included in lots of their cuisines. They're just saying gochujang over and over. It's not like a huge deal. It's just I'm just surprised. The same people who are like, please, for the love of God, do not call it pho, it's pho, are like, yeah, dude, you ever have gochujang? I love it. But then I don't even get me started. You know, the number of times people like they correct me without realizing that they're wrong. This joke does not kill in Twitch chat. Twitch chat hates this joke. Every time I'm at my in-laws' place, I tell this story and it fucking destroys. They love it. Because they're Korean American. And I'm always like, you know what's annoying is when you're talking to other Americans and you say Samsung and they go, what the hell is Samsung? It's Samsung. Shit drives me crazy. Oh, what kind of phone do you have? Oh, it's a Samsung Galaxy. Samsung? What the fuck? That joke crushes with my in-laws, man. I'm telling you. Is it really called Samsung? Yeah, the A in Korean, for the most part, it has that sound. It has like a sound. Annyeonghaseyo. What about Hyundai? Hyundai. Same thing. We say it like that in Europe. Common Europe dub, stay winning. In-laws like, why is he telling the same joke for the 100th time? No, honestly, you can get away with it because like they got busy lives. Like they got other shit going on. If anything, I think like most people, like Twitch chat has really high standards. Sometimes I get called for using a reused joke from like 2017. They'll be like, you said that already when I was in 8th grade. And I'm like, damn, dude, let's come on. Trying to create 5 hours of content a day here. I might have to revisit some of the greatest hits. But for most people, when they hear a joke they already know, they kind of like it because it's like, they're like, oh, I don't even have to worry about whether I'm going to enjoy this one. I already know it's a slapper. That's me every day at work saying living the dream. Working hard, hardly working, hot enough for you. They'll let anybody into this place, etc., etc. They'll let anybody into it. It looks like they'll let anybody into this place. Love it, dude. Okay, you know what? I mean, we're using the Sun card. Well, you have to, some people are saying you anglicize some words when you put them in English. You have to remember that I got called racist by someone in Twitch chat. It's literally one guy. But I said, I call it pho because you can't win. If you ever say, hey, let's go out for pho, you run the risk of somebody being like, actually, it's called pho. And you have to be like, I know, I just didn't know if you knew, which is why I called it pho in the first place. And if you say pho, and then they go, what's pho? You go, oh, it's like a Vietnamese noodle soup that's rich in cilantro. They go, oh, you mean pho? And then you have to be the snob who is like, well, actually, it's pronounced pho. So I said, I'm sidestepping that shit, and I'm just calling it pho because that's the way it looks in the English language. And I was accused of being racist for not pronouncing things the way they actually are in the original language. Okay. So now, when you motherfuckers say, well, actually, in the commercials in the US, they say Samsung, well, I'm sorry to tell you, the people who make the commercials for Samsung in America are racist, okay? Because it's Samsung. I'm pronouncing everything in the exact intonation that it is in the language that it started from, okay? And it is not gochujang, it's gochujang, okay? We've come too far to slip backwards into the gochujang. The A sound, it's more like an sometimes, not always. Korean language is actually based. Dude, so honestly, like I don't speak Korean well at all, but there are some things in Korean that just make you wonder, like, why wasn't... Well, I know English origin story is like kind of a hodgepodge of like other Romance languages, but you'll be like jealous. You'll be like, why doesn't the language that I speak work like this? Like, for example, why in English, why are there 2 or more sounds for each vowel? That's idiotic. Couldn't you just double the size of the alphabet instead? But no, we have whatever, 7 vowels, but each of them has 2 sounds. So how do you know how to pronounce this one or this one when you read it? Oh, you just hear the word enough times and get corrected, and then eventually you remember them all specifically? That's crazy, dude! That's insanity, that basically the way you learn English is just memorizing how to say every word instead of being able to create it at runtime. Like from a word that you see in text. Like in Korean... I'm sure there's some exceptions, but for the most part, every consonant and vowel sound is exactly the same every time you see it. So as long as you can read Hangul, which is not difficult to learn the alphabet, you know, there's only 20-something characters, you can sound out all of the words that you're reading, which is very helpful because then some of those words are taken from English or other languages. And you're like, I don't recognize this word. Then you sound it out and you're like, computer, bagel, you know? And you're like, oh, I'll have 1 bagel, please. Then in English, you're like, okay, you know, R-O-U-G-H? Obviously that's rough. You'd have to be an idiot to not know that. B-O-U-G-H? Oh, that's bow. Why? Because fucking 900 years ago, William the Conqueror had the audacity to cross the English Channel and, like, Harold Godwinson got shot in the eye with an arrow. And King Ivar the Boneless was like, I'm out of this, bitch. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not that I necessarily have, like, over-respect for the Korean language. It's more like it feels like every language should have been designed as deliberately as Hangul was designed. It makes it much... I'm not saying Korean's an easy language to speak, but it's certainly a very easy language to read. Now, learning what the words actually mean is another step, but you have to learn that regardless of what language you're learning it in. So to skip the step where you have to then learn how to recognize every single word based on sight is just crazy. Like, the most insulting thing about English, without a doubt, is how they have all these grammar rules, but the grammar rules are right, like, literally 52% of the time. It's like I before E, except after C, and then there's 9 different subcases. And if, and if you're reading something from a Scottish author, then maybe... C-O-L-O-N-E-L, Colonel. You're absolutely... What... Like... English is bad. I love it because I choose to think of it like it's kind of like C. Like it's a language that if you master everything about it, you can do anything you want. And that might be true of every language, but I'm from North America, so you have to forgive me my ignorance in that one. But in terms of actually learning it, it's just insane. You basically you have to learn every single word. That's nonsense. L-I-E-U-T-E-N-A-N-T. Lieutenant in England. In America, lieutenant. Shit is just idiotic, man. It's nonsensical. And I'm sure, again, I bet there's examples in Korean where it's like the word is spelled like the classic example for me is that like S-I in Korean, you would expect it to be C, but actually it gets pronounced as she most of the time. So like King Shilla is not, it's not S-H-I-L-L-A, it's the character of S. Anyway, it's like, but that's not the norm. In English, that's the norm. People will actually get like up in your face about ridiculous shit, you know? Oh, it's not octopuses, it's octopi. That's when people's, when you force someone to learn every single edge case in order to be considered as like fluently speaking a language, then like, that's you get people whose whole self-worth is wrapped up in their 3rd grade grammar class mark. I know you're saying actually octopuses and octopodes are also fine. You don't realize that you've walked into my trap and now you're simply proving my point. I have given you a low-hanging fruit and allowed you to snare yourself in the punji sticks. I mean, the only language I speak is English, and there's still things I get confused about all the time. Semi-annual versus biannual. Bi-weekly, is that 2x a week or once every 2 weeks? Was the man well hung? Or was he well, comma, hanged? Those are two very, very different statements that might affect what your plans are for the rest of the evening. Or both. I suppose it's a situation. Those don't have to be mutually exclusive. What do you think about traveling to a country without speaking the language at all? I mean, I think for traveling, that's reasonable. I don't think you should have to speak French fluently to go to Paris or speak Spanish to go to, you know, Madrid. I will say, so I learned some Korean in Korea and some Korean before I went to Korea, but I definitely worked with some people who didn't even learn like basic phrases. And I almost think they took it as like a point of pride that they're like, we don't even know how to say like thank you or like where's the bathroom and stuff like that. And that always struck me as kind of crazy. I don't know if people, maybe they realize it, maybe they don't. If you're from North America, you actually have it like so easy for travel. Everywhere I've ever traveled to in my entire life like bends over backwards to make life easy for English tourists. Not British tourists, but like tourists who only speak English. In Europe, I feel like almost every country learns at least 2 languages, one of which is usually English, which is the cheat code worldwide. Like North America is like the only country on earth where you skip the work but get the reward. It's not fair, but it benefits me, so I'm gonna say it's very cool. Okay, I'm speaking about Canada and the United States. Even in Canada, like, you know, a lot of people are bilingual. I am not, though. I'm basically American. I only speak English and then a little bit of a language that I learned when I became enamored with the country's media. And then lived there for a year, I guess. I feel like, well, I don't know about Australia and New Zealand, but I feel like in England, you gotta learn like some French, right? I mean, you're on an island, but you're kind of like, you could, if in the winter, this is an honest question. One of my favorite kinds of questions. An insane, honest question, like could you swim from Australia to New Zealand? In the wintertime, can you walk from Dover to Dunkirk? Could you walk from Kent to Calais? Yes, I've done it. I knew it. I knew it. Of course. I guess you could walk through the channel. It doesn't freeze over. How long is it? Well, I mean, people swim it. If people swim it, people can walk it. I guess it's just a question of whether or not it froze over. It's the ocean. Oh, get over yourself. It's not the ocean, it's the English Channel. It's only 20 miles. The English Channel, turn that shit off. No, Miyazaki, I don't want to watch any more Emmerdale! Popcorn on my bird, boy. You know what song is that? You know that one? I don't know even know how to describe it. This is to go like salsa on my corn, boy. Salsa on my corn. That's Bangarang? Is that the one that goes? That's Bangarang? I had no idea. Okay, this I gotta be honest, this team's pretty strong. It says salsa on my balls, boy? That's vile. There's no way that's what it actually says. I don't believe you. It says shout out to the Lost Boys. I mean, it's quite the film. Kiefer Sutherland. Is salsa on my balls, boys? Bangarang lyrics. Shout to all my Lost Boys. Shout outs to all my Lost Boys. Whatever happened to Skrillex after he won the Grammy Award for Best Dance / Electronic Recording? So I made a tweet last night. I said, no matter how you feel about Frozen, the soundtrack goes hard as hell. And then someone replied and was like, and Phil, not to mention Phil Collins on the Tarzan soundtrack as well. And then I said, dude, they definitely should have gotten Steely Dan to do like the Lady and the Tramp soundtrack. That would have fucked so hard. Half of their songs already sound like they could just be called Lady and the Tramp. Just by chance you changed a diamond to a pearl. You turn against the world, and then you turn the world around. Now you share a pastor with a dog. Did you feel like Jesus? Did you realize you're sharing a noodle with a dog? Ground, 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 ground. You could totally do that, man. I just saw Steely Dan. He called our town a dump. I don't know how you feel about that, but I kind of respect it. Well, where do you live? Is it in Minnesota? Was this in Minneapolis, St. Paul? This would be a great little bit of kismet for me if it was. Hold on. Hold on. Steely Dan tour dates. Okay, they just played. Today's 21st. Okay, so they played tonight. No concerts near the Vancouver area. That's fine. What, the Steely Dan is playing at the St. Joseph's Health Amphitheater at Lakeview in Syracuse, New York? Syracuse? That is a New York City band. They shouldn't be playing in Syracuse. Then June 25th and 26th, they're playing the Wolf Trap Filene Center in Vienna, Virginia. They're not even playing Richmond, they're playing Vienna. June 29th, the Northwell Health at Jones Beach Theater in Wantagh, New York. What the hell? Look at these, dude, look at my booking agent, man. I'm going to prison. Syracuse, Vienna, Wantagh, the PNC Bank Arts Center in Holmdel, New Jersey, Mansfield, Massachusetts, Bethel, New York, Franklin, Tennessee. Then July 15th, Richmond, Virginia, Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay, they start playing some normal places. Sorry, after that. You know what? This is the warm-up leg. This is like when the stand-up comedian comes out and they like go to New Brunswick to workshop their new shit, and then they bring it back to LA later. Okay, this makes perfect. Because now I'm like, Orlando, Charleston, Atlantic City, Bridgeport, Connecticut, Port Chester, New York? What the hell? I'm happy you like Steely Dan, Josh. Because I wasn't 100% on that. I mean, like, we have a lot of different music opinions. Like, for example, if I ever hear Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond ever again, I'm gonna do something regrettable in Minecraft. But that's not even, like, Neil Diamond's fault, I guess. I'm annoyed that, isn't it like it's a Fenway Park tradition, right? To sing Sweet Caroline during one of the inning changes. And the Canucks, like, stole it. They always play it at, like, the TV timeout in the third period. And I'm like, it's not our thing. Why are you trying to, like, just steal another city's tradition and then insert it into our arena? It's a little cringe. At least play something like, you know, the Knights of Wine and Roses by Japandroids or something like that. It'll just be me in the audience singing along, I guess. But, you know, I mean, if you asked me, hey, NL, I can't believe we won this. Holy cow. If you asked me, what song would you rather never hear ever again? Sweet Caroline or Don't Stop Believing by Journey? It's the only question where you would ever find me trying to weasel my way into a Por qué no las dos. Is there a way that I could ensure both songs are gone from the public consciousness? I think Don't Stop Believing is actually a fine song. It's just so overplayed to oblivion, I don't need to hear it for the rest of my life. I think Don't Stop Believing actually isn't being passed down to the next generation. This is wonderful news. I didn't know that, but it sounds fantastic. I'd like to say congratulations to the Zoomers. Well, and I mean, I guess let's give my own generation the slightest bit of credit for the first time ever. I guess it's also partly the millennials. I promise you my daughter will never hear Don't Stop Believing in my house. What they choose to do, you know, when they go to their cool parties and stuff like that, whatever, man. But she will not hear it in my house. She will hear when the lights go down in the city and the sun sets on the bay. Do I want to be back in my city? Oh, oh, oh. She can hear that. In fact, she might not hear anything but that, to be honest with you. Where's your gold play button? Sometimes people think I put on airs. No, oh, no! I got the gold play button in the mail, but I literally haven't even opened it. Like, my wife tidied it up the other day. I don't know where it went. It arrived in the mail, and I said, oh, cool. And then I have not even opened it. Why not? Because I just, like, no plaque is going to tell me how I'm going to feel about my career. I'm my own man. I'm an adult. Five wins? Okay. You know, instead of YouTube, like, sending me a plaque when I hit 1 million subscribers, you know what would be nice? If they replied to my emails about all of my quarry videos being unmonetized as a result of false content ID claims. No, sorry, best we could do is an $8 piece of brush steel. By the way, when you get it, make sure you make a video that goes, whoa, so that we can reap some of that ad revenue on the top. How about a rich dumpling? I'm not like I applied for the award. They don't just send it to you automatically. You got to, like, you know, fill in a little checklist or something like that. I applied for it because I think it'll be nice to have and put up in display. It's a nice, you know, memento. But I'm like, it's not urgent. It's just a little. I don't need an award, man. The real award is the privilege of doing the job every day. Same with the Peloton. I don't worry about, my badge count on the Peloton. Oh, I've got to make sure I do a Father's Day class so I can get the 2022 Father's Day badge to display on my profile. Nah, man. Let me just do a 30-minute Cody Rigsby ride to Throat Goat by Kim Petras. I'm in it for the love of the game. No, I'm not going to pill my turtle. He's doing his best. It's what's happening here. This is an insane team. And they lost all the same. Okay, YouTube title. The frog is S tier? One of my 4 faces. Okay, we got this. We got this. Let me think about what else you got. We got awkward smile. And then we've got, like, scared, like. And then we got a little pog sometimes. I try not to use that often, though. Okay, there you go. 10 wins. That was a good one. You could do Ninja Turtle face. Oh, you mean this one? I can't talk and do Ninja Turtle face at the same time. It's kind of like that. I do still remember, though, like, I was a little mad at your wedding, Josh. Not at you, by the way, but like we went out drinking the night before your ceremony. And then when we were, like, heavily intoxicated, when we came back to the hotel, I stopped in at the little store that they have in the hotel to get some food. And everybody else, like our other party of mutual friends, like, went to walk right by And I was like, whoa, where are you guys going? And they were like, oh, we're going to bed. And I said, we got to eat something before bed or you're going to be dead tomorrow. And then they said, we're too tired to even eat. And including Malf, who was relatively fine the next morning and who was not having a great time. Guy who ate 2 fun-sized cans of Pringles was at least alive. Guy who was too tired to eat after a night of drinking, not so good. At this point, you got to know, you got to know your limit and stay within it.
Look at the time, then I bought coffee. Both of you were like 10.
No, that was like 7 years earlier. That time, that was bad. Okay, we're going more flamingos. Forget the limits. It's morbing time. I'm still wondering when the day is going to come that I don't laugh at the statement, it's morbing time. Bye, Josh. It's going to happen someday. Bro, 7 years ago is a third of my life. Bro. Who cares? Sorry. That was unnecessarily rude. Don't get me wrong. But, like, I already gone through that shit myself. I've been 21. Whoa, so something that happened 8 years ago was, like, more than a third of my life ago. Holy shit. Okay, yeah, well, talk to me in 10 years. 7 years was just, like, last week for me. Things change, man. I get it. You're 21. Congratulations. You already have, like, every other advantage in the world. What do you want me to say? Like, so everyone, please acknowledge there's a 21-year-old in chat. Why don't you just go out and train for like 3 weeks and run a marathon? Why don't you like fall down and skin your knee and then wake up the next day and you can't even find where the abrasion is because your superhuman healing factor kicked in? Why don't you invest in a portfolio of 100% equities because your time horizon is so high you don't need bonds to provide balance? You can simply aim for the highest risk-adjusted returns historically provided by a portfolio with that level of risk. Ooh, that's me. I'm 21. I like it. I'm 21. Ooh. You know what I'm talking about, K-pop fans? Oh, it's morbid time. Kramer, what's going on in there? I gotta make myself tall. Sorry, I'm going 6'9" mode. Jerry, it's morbid time. Giddy up. I am the grape swan. I am the walrus. Goo goo gajoo, but goo goo gajoo. So true. Sometimes I'll just be like driving in my car and the spectral voice of John Lennon will come into my head like, expert, choking, smoking. Don't you know the Joker laughs at you? And the man really had his finger on the pulse of what it means to be an adult in modern life. See how they run like pigs from a gun. See how they fly. I'm pogging. I'm pogging. Semolina Pog Champ. Pogging in a dead man's chat. Type in resident sleeper. Boy, you been a naughty cray. You let your gasm down. Sorry. Unnecessary, probably, but I am the Eggman, Goo Goo Gajoob, etc., etc. Ha 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 ha. Just another example of how far ahead of their time the Beatles were. I mean, it's funny because you say, whoa, what a shot, dude. Level 3 Death Touch 50-50 Porcupine gets one-tapped by the Barracuda? I mean, you say that as if it's a joke, but I actually, like, I think that is a sign the Beatles were ahead of their time, man. I'm 21 and those lyrics really speak to me. Everybody's got one, etc., etc. Dude, what the hell? I mean, we may lose this, but no, my melons! I mean, we're going up against the strongest team I've ever seen in my life. I'm not mad to lose this one. I'm thrilled that we've learned something about the double turtle barracuda. Boy, you been a proper piggy, let your bacon down. What's the best sitcom of all time, John Lennon style? I don't understand how to answer this question. I think you overstate my out of context abstract thinking abilities. I don't understand what the question is. Best sitcom of all time, John Lennon style. Best sitcom of all time, John Lennon style. It's like a riddle. Maybe if you say it fast. What's the best sitcom of all time? John Lennon style. And now you two, with the cut off their next album, take us away. Dude, did you... By the way, I want to say big ups to the people on the subreddit who, you know, Reddit skews a little older than Twitch chat. I'm not sure if you're aware. So there's a certain different culture that happens on that website. People, last week when we were talking about... U2 left a message, left a comment, as they call it on the internet these days. And the comment was NL's chat trolling him when they were talking about how much they hate U2? I thought, I am like NL's age, and U2 is considered a classic band for me and my generational cohort. I'm glad that I'm not crazy. At the very least, there's dozens of us out there. We don't need to go back down the rabbit hole. U2 ass, U2 ass, U2 suck. I'm getting gaslit by Zoomers like all day, man. Reddit agrees with me. It must be good. Okay, honestly, you got me on that one. That's unfortunately a +2. I feel very owned. I'm 28 and they're bad. I don't know what that means. I'm 28. Is 28 old or young? That's one of those ages. Like, I know how this sounds. 33, though, feels younger than 28 to me. Because I feel like at 28, you're staring down the barrel of the end of your youth. And at 33, I'm looking down an incredibly long tube, hopefully. That's the rest of my life. Like at 28, I feel like you compare yourself to other people in your age cohort. And you're like, oh, I'm not as young as I used to be. I've lost 1 inch off my vertical. Oh, life's so hard. Whereas at 33, like when I'm out in public, I'm comparing myself to the representative swath of the human population. Like, I'm comparing myself to 60-year-olds. I've entered Gen Pop, and honestly, it feels damn good as a 33-year-old +2. Like, that's just, I feel like if I was 28 when I rode the Peloton, I would set the leaderboard to be like other people in my age group, and I would feel bad that I'm going up against, you know, like Christian Froome and stuff like that. At 33, I am happy to let the leaderboard just be on Gen Pop, and then I'm passing people in their 60s, and I'm not saying I'm passing them because they're in their 60s. I'm saying get breezed on, bozo. You've had 30 years of extra experience, and I'm still kicking your ass on the output here? That's embarrassing. It's like you start comparing yourself to a different pool. Late 20s, you realize you can't stay up late like you used to, and that's a big deal. Without sounding too unsympathetic, that's just like bread and circuses, though, man. We're definitely losing this one. We're definitely drawing this one. Like, that shit, like, doesn't matter. It's like, oh no, I'm like 28 and I can't stay up until 4 a.m. and wake up at 7 for work and feel good the next morning. Okay, whether you turn like 50 and you look at the incidence rates of every disease on the planet and how they spike over time, and then shut your mouth. People got bigger problems, man. Like, I get it. You're getting older. For like the first time, you're hitting a crest, and then parts of the world are closing to you. Because I've gone through it myself. But at least like 28's not like a birthday where you should be like, oh, I'm old. At least, like, when you turn 28, you don't get, like, a new test at the doctor. When you're 28, they probably don't even want you coming to the doctor. They're like, you're a 28-year-old man. What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be, like, at Topgolf? I saw someone say I'm 20. I just turned 29 and I feel so old. I'm just gonna be honest with you. If possible, you might as well knock that shit off. Because you might have like another 70 birthdays. You're gonna really feel old for like literally 70% of the birthdays that you have on Earth. You're gonna start at 29. That shit's embarrassing. Like, you should appreciate the youth you've got left. You should just chill out a little bit. Thank you, my friends are constantly saying I'm so old. Well, I think you have to have some sympathy, or at least, you know, I understand it. Because you really do spend the first, like, 19 years of your life just being young as shit. You get no exposure to being old at all. So it's just like especially like you're born, you're like a little slug, you can't do anything. Then like you learn how to walk, you learn how to talk, you get taller, you get stronger, you get smarter, you learn everything you need to learn in order to like thrive in the world. You go through puberty, you double your height, you grow 19-inch biceps in 3 months without even noticing. Your voice changes, blah, and then there's like, you're like a rocket ship towards adulthood. And then you hit like 21 and you're like, I feel like the same as last year. I feel the same as last year. Is this what getting old is like? I can cancel my Nickelodeon subscription. It's that first divot where people start to feel old. But you don't understand. You've just, at 25, let's say, you just turn off the thrusters. You still got like some glide path where you're going. Then I think it's like it's a sliding scale based on luck and also how you take care of yourself. Somewhere in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s, you hit apoapsis. And that's where I think you really start being old. When instead of trying to like accumulate new things, like new skills, new hobbies, you just try to hold on to the ones you got as long as possible. And then you start to go. And again, it's your lifestyle that I think, and I'm only 33, so I'm not speaking from experience really. I feel like it's your lifestyle that determines your angle of incidence. So that motherfucker who only eats chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese that we were talking about in Isaac, I mean, right now at 31, he's probably like, I'm just built different. I never have to worry about this kind of stuff. When that guy hits 38, he's going to be like, oh, what the hell? He's going to face the reckoning. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Unboxing? No, I'm not that kind of guy. I know we don't need to unbox it. I know what's in the box. It's a plaque that says 1 million subscribers. I already have the plaque. It's right here, and it's right here. Hold on. Am I going to buy the Zoms Battle Pass? I don't think so. I would describe this as not good. Holy cow, what a shot. Trident user. And I ain't talking about the gum. Help me. I'm about to get styled on. Slurp me. He's playing with his damn food. No slurp required. He's spinning. They're crits, they're crits. Let's go! Oh. Woo. Sheesh. He was honorable. I don't know if they say honorable. He did let me full heal. That's not, I mean, that's like Dark Souls honor. I'm losing it. Steely Dan, man. Playing the Capitol Theater. 3 gigs at the Capitol Theater in Port Chester, New York. Let's see who's playing concerts in Vancouver soon. Take me to Ticketmaster, concerts, Vancouver. Select your genre. Let me be in the, I'll be in the rock music genre. And sort me by date, sure, okay? Beto and Sound Clash. You could not pay me enough money to hear When the Night Feels My Song ever again. Yo, Shawn Mendes, though. Shawn Mendes on July 2nd is coming to Rogers Arena. Fleet Foxes coming to the Queen Elizabeth Theater. Jason Mraz. I'll probably pass on the Jason Mraz show. Probably pass on the Lumineers show at Rogers Arena. Not that interested in that. Charlie XCX playing the Orpheum. That'd be a heck of a gig. 100 Gex on the 10,000 Gex tour playing the Commodore Ballroom. Clap your hands, say yeah, playing a venue I've never heard of in my life. Alanis Morissette with special guest Garbage, July 31st. I got to get my tickets for that. I've been slacking. There, I just hope there's some left, honestly. Crash Test Dummies playing the Hollywood Theater. Franz Ferdinand playing the Orpheum. You think they'll play Take Me Out? No, they don't. Oh, you know what? Based. Broken Social Scene playing the Commodore Ballroom. I realize I don't know a lot of bands. Like, who the heck is Julia Jacklin? Who's Jake Bugg? Florence and the Machine? I know them. No, I'm not going to go see Styx and Nancy Wilson's Heart. Maybe I'll go see the King Khan and the Barbecue Show. Welfare Bread's kind of a banger. I'm not going to go see Rag and Bone Man, okay? I get enough Rag and Bone Man when I'm riding the Peloton. Anytime they're like, I'm going to really need you to dig deep on this song, that's why I'm playing Rag and Bone Man. I'm only human. I don't know if he's the one who sings that, but definitely there's some similarities. Okay, Kate is ready to stream. I can send you over there. Arkells playing Rogers Arena. You know what? You got to give a lot of respect to the Arkells, Josh. We saw them headline Friday at Hillside in like 2009. They had 2 songs. Nowadays, they're playing the biggest hockey stadium in Vancouver. Modest Mouse is playing the damn Orpheum, which is still a good venue, but it's changed, man. The Arkells have really come up in the world. Ever since they stopped making music for people in their 20s and started making music for people in their 40s, the Arkells have really gotten really popular, dude. Orpheum's really nice. Oh, I've been there. That's where I saw Pokemon live in concert. Seen some VSO performances at the Orpheum.